There are three substantive parts to this report. The first is the review of the smoke-free public places policy. Now, I think we've got staff to speak to this because we're going to hear about how there may need to be a change to the recommendation. So maybe if we hear from staff, and then I can perhaps summarise the discussion that we had at the committee at that time as well.
Welcome. Mike, is this your area? Is this what you actually do?
I do bits of everything, you know that.
Right, okay, I understand that there needs to be a change in the timing.
Does that count? That's 4. I need one more for a coffee. So there's really only, there's probably a couple of points to note. The first one is in Resolution 6.2. Having spoken to the facilities people, they're basically confirming that they believe it's impractical to get signage throughout all our buildings by October 2015. They're happy to start, but obviously we've got a large number of buildings, so we would seek Council's indulgence to basically make that by January 2016. So it's just a practical issue for the facilities people to get around and do that.
I'd just question the thinking behind that. I mean, I appreciate that October's too early, and if it can't be done, it can't be done, and it's good that you're telling us that, and thank you for telling us early rather than letting this go through and then needing to come back and tell us it couldn't be done. January seems to be quite a long time after October.
It's the normal saying 3 months, it always is.
I guess the spirit of my question is, could it be done earlier than January? Is that realistically the earliest it can be done?
Can we, well, so that's the advice we've been given. We can certainly go back and say, look, Council want this rolled out as quickly as possible. It would be nice to get it all out before the summer season starts, particularly for a lot of those facilities, so we can target those as well to make sure that perhaps where there are facilities that are going to have a high summer use, we get to those earlier. Yeah. So we can certainly take on board that you want it done as quickly as possible and communicate that to the facilities guys. Yeah,
that's absolutely right. I mean, the spirit of the committee recommendation is that, you know, we want this done and we want it done as soon as possible. I'd be happy with that change. And maybe we just add the words "or earlier" if possible.
Yeah,
we're just doing
fine.
that. Yep.
And that just gives that sense of urgency. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, all good? Is there a seconder? Glenn wanted to second it. Do you want to be passionate about it now? Yes. Okay, just before you are passionate about it, are there any other questions? Right. I think Glenn's gazumpture on that. No, I don't think so. No, he just wants to be passionate about it. Yeah. Okay, so questions we're on, Glenn, and then Dave.
Thank you. This comes out of an informal conversation I had with a couple of Ngāi Tahu representatives, one who I think took part in the original lease signing with Council. His understanding is that from the word go, the whole kind of precinct of this building was to be smoke-free, including ramp. So I know that we've kind of uncovered a few little complications there to do with the cafe. Is that your understanding as well, that that was the original intention?
I don't know that we can say what the original intention was. I don't think any of us participated in that, but it's perhaps unusual that the discussions around the building at that stage would have addressed this matter. The issue is that there is a separate lease agreement with the cafe by Ngāi Tahu, which means that we can't impose a restriction on in a reasonable area around the cafe, because obviously it has an outdoor dining area. So the practicality of actually enforcing an absolute smoking ban on the ramp is probably too difficult for us.
Thank you. I think we're going to keep working on that, Vicky. We've talked about this in the committees.
We have for quite some time. Are there any other questions? Dave, sorry.
Oh, no, look, I think mine was pretty similar to Glenn's and
cool. Things. Can we now debate it? Because apparently some people want to. Glenn.
Look, I am very keen on this. I know this is the week of the huge mega picture for the council. Truly appreciate that. But one thing that did come out of Share an Idea, which Angela touched on this morning was that incredibly democratic process where people concluded they wanted a clean, green city. So for us to proceed over active travel and in the other initiatives we're going with and actually not be intentional about this, I think would be disjointed. So it's good that we're looking at extending our policy. The total number of smokers in New Zealand is the highest in Canterbury. We've got 38,000 in Christchurch City, which is 13% of the population. So I think it's important that we as a council show leadership on this. There's overwhelming support if you look at the statistics by the public for smoke-free areas. And I suspect the forthcoming survey from the Cancer Society will indicate that actually smoke-free dining is good for business. And that might take some people by surprise. But let's wait for that survey to come back. I think let's just go with these steps at the moment, keep extending that policy, keep being progressive because we do want a healthy city.
What was it for other cities, if it was 13% in Christchurch?
I'll have to look at the report. I have read this report.
Just checking.
I do read reports.
Andrew.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I don't have a lot to add to what Councillor Livingstone has said. This certainly allows for Council to take a progressive role in this space. It's realistic as to where we are at the moment in the continuum of moving towards smoke-free 2025. There has been some discussion about the ramp going down to Worcester Street, and that certainly has been canvassed in Councillor Livingstone's question. We also have had some debate around smoking in outdoor dining spaces and so on. And the view of the committee was that that's a conversation we may want to have in the future, but the time to have that conversation is not just yet. So I think this is a good picture of where we're at and where the city's at in terms of moving along a continuum that gets us to smoke-free 2025. And the other thing I'd like to do is to acknowledge the involvement and the help that we've had from Smoke-Free Canterbury in sharing some of the information with us that's helped to support these decisions as well. So I'm very comfortable with these recommendations coming from both staff and the committee, and I think this is a good decision to be making now as part of an overall forward direction.
Okay, cool.
Can I just before, and just picking up on Councillor Turner's point, so if we just could go to 6.7, which is a note in the resolutions, and probably I think the size of the city's buildings and signage requirements have only become a bit more apparent. So Smoke-Free Canterbury are now saying they're probably not in a position to provide all our signage at no cost, but they're happy to assist us with the signage. So we just should note that, and it is, I mean, when you think about the number of buildings we've got and the program they're trying to roll out, we've got a lot of material we need to cover.
So note that Smoke-Free Canterbury have offered to assist with the provision of signage.
Perhaps not with, but perhaps towards the provision of signage is probably a more accurate.
Assist.
Towards the provision.
All right.
Actually, that doesn't make good English, does it?
No.
They've offered to assist.
To contribute to the provision is much better.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Okay.
there's no absolute guarantee that we won't incur some visits.
Tim?
Thank you. And firstly, thank you to staff for just saying with regards to the, if you like, the reality of the timing of how much we can get in and get out. And Mike, your suggestion with regards to targeting certain places first is an absolute spot on. I think it's the way to go, especially in the lovely weather we're having at the moment, and if we can get up and running as soon as possible, that'd be great. If we can get the same results from doing this as we do from our playgrounds and our sports fields, etc., will be an absolute success. So I know personally when you're going with the kids to sports and other places, it's self-regulating, it's moral if you like, and it's a really good way to go forward. So thank you very much for the work you're doing and the honesty that you came to us with today. Cheers.
Okay, great. Can I put it? Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Carried unanimously. Thank you very much. Item number 2, Heritage Incentive Grant, 88 Chester Street East. Moved Andrew, seconded Yanni. I'll put that. Those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, carried. And the next one next door, 98 to 100, moved Andrew, seconded Glenn. Put that. Those in favour, please say aye. Those opposed, carried. And then part B, moved Andrew, seconded Pauline. Put those in favour, please say aye. Those opposed, carried. That the report as a whole be adopted. Those in favour, please say aye. Those opposed, carried. If that needed a mover and seconder, it was Andrew and David. The next one, I think we just received.